So,
Gentleman here.
Simon Counsel from the Rainforest Foundation, I'm one of the people that sent in a number of questions actually, so I don't know whether someone else is going to ask some on my behalf, but I'll try and limit the ones that I have to one question divided into three parts. The first one really follows on from that point that was just made, in the sense that the whole title of this seminar is a little bit challenging. A test case for reducing emissions from deforestation and degradation. In that the emissions from deforestation from Guyana aren't terribly high, and they haven't been for a very long time. What I want to know, I'd like to know from the President, is why does the agreement with Norway set a baseline deforestation rate of 0.45% per year, below which Guyana will receive financial benefits from Norway, when the actual rate of deforestation in Guyana is probably 1/2 or 1/3 of that. In fact, I was looking at the United Nations official statistics this morning, and they actually give a deforestation rate of about 0 between 1990 and 2005. And linked to that, the second part of the question, why does the agreement with Norway not require reductions in much more substantial emissions, forest sector emissions due to degradation rather than destruction of the forest, and particularly those due to the logging and mining activities which were just referred to? And the third part, why have you repeatedly stated, and personally repeatedly stated in the national press and elsewhere in Guyana, that these high carbon emitting logging and mining activities will not be affected by the low carbon development strategy, even though they are by far the largest source of emissions in Guyana overall? Thank you.
So let's start with the last one first. What I've said, I've made it clear, is that there are going to be changes in forestry and in mining. There would have to be changes. I've made it clear to people. I've made it clear also that we don't anticipate that all mining will stop or that all forestry will stop in Guyana. In fact, the whole model is based on, there are two sets of countries. One set that has traditional high deforestation rates, and another set that has basically intact forest cover, low deforestation rate. We fall in the latter category. So our argument has consistently been that those countries that have had high deforestation rate, the idea is to get them to reduce that rate. And those who have had low deforestation rate, that those would have, if you keep that intact without any growth in emission, then there would be disadvantage versus those who've had a high rate in the past, because they will have a reference level set at 4% per annum, and we would have a reference level at 0. So how do they get paid for deforesting at below 4% per annum? We get paid basically for basically nothing. You can't cut on 0. So this is the key issue. Now, a lot of the things with Norway are going to change. If you look at the short-term indicators between now and the development of a detailed MRV system, you see that we've used some proxies. We recognize that things are going to evolve. So first of all, if we have a REDD agreement in Copenhagen, a lot of these reference levels may change. That's one. Secondly, when you have a detailed MRV system, they will monitor the slightest change, because if you look at what we're using here, it's the Marrakesh Accord, which defines deforestation at 0.05% of 1 hectare. So eventually, when you have a detailed MRV system, which we're hoping that within three years we may get to tier 3 system, that any change in the forest cover will be accounted for against the baseline. So that is how we've seen it. We're not sure what the deforestation rate is. It says between 0.1 to 0.3. There are different estimates. We are going to do some detailed work between now and October 2010. Then we will know what that figure is. Basically, doing some work on the MRV system will give us a greater fix on that figure, and then we can look at what the historic deforestation rate is. That may cause some adjustments in baselines.
But under this agreement, am I right in thinking that you get the right to increase deforestation?
Basically, yes, up to 0.5. If we fall anything below 0.5, 0.45, we get compensated for the difference between the actual and 0.45.
Even though at the moment you're not deforesting at that rate?
Yeah, well, that is yet to be seen. We've said 0.3 we're using as a proxy for the current deforestation rate. But this comes back to the whole question of how you treat countries that are in the avoided deforestation category. Do you use a historic baseline to assess them or a future baseline? Because if you use historic baseline, they get locked into an unfair system. The bad boys will get a better deal than those countries who have kept their forests intact. My view is that you have to, within some reasonable limits, allow small growth in these countries that have had, avoided or kept their forests intact.
Can I ask if there's anyone here from Norway, from the Norwegian government?
Yeah.
You are. Can I just ask you to comment on that latter point? Do you think the deal is a good deal for Norwegian taxpayers?